What's up, sports maniacs, and welcome to All Sports Media Team Presents Triple B 2.0. This is episode number 3, and our topic this week is what were you thinking? Oh my gosh, we got George, we got the coach hanging out with me, we got my panel ready to go. So many crazy things went down this week in literally every single sport. You name a sport, something weird, ironic, or crazy has gone down. I would like to start on the gridiron, if you guys don't mind.
Okay.
Denver Broncos. They went into last week literally no quarterback at all, like because of COVID, obviously. All 4 of them, I believe it was, had to be put on the list. I'm not saying they had it, but they had to be put on the list. And they had to call up this guy from like their practice squad who was like a receiver, I think it was. I forgot his name. But the NFL forced them to play with absolutely no quarterback. So I think that sucks because they've been letting other teams, I mean, we'll get into the Ravens and the Steelers, what happened with that. But they just kept pushing that game back. But they didn't do that with Denver. How do you feel about that, Coach? And why do you think they made them play? Like they didn't push it back like other games? Freezing.
Yeah, I think the NFL is just trying to get to it. You know, the teams are without bias, so they can't push it back anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between the Broncos and the Ravens had like 18 players across all positions.
Yeah.
So that's almost a close to half the squad.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just don't have enough bodies, right? But with the Broncos, I think they actually punished them because they broke protocol.
Oh, that makes sense.
Guys that were wearing masks. That's why they got fined. Also, they got fined this week.
Okay.
So this is the next team's going to get players suspended.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos were like the first ones, like to prove an example.
Uh-huh.
After that, next team that does it is going to get fined.
Yeah.
Or suspended. The Ravens strength coach is the one that the team suspended and fined him.
Great.
So he caught madness. But all the quarterbacks, the whole position, none of them wore a mask, and that's what happened.
People just don't get it. They think it's a joke. I mean, we're not going to get like totally into COVID because we'll be here for a million years. But they just, especially the athletes, they're like, oh, we're cool. We're outside. Nothing's going to happen. We took our test, and like a lot of the coaches, before they started making them wear the face shields, a lot of the coaches weren't wearing them either. There's been fines thrown out like crazy, and it was so funny, not funny, haha, but like, this is so crazy to see the Broncos go in literally with no quarterback. Like John Elway even chimed in on social media joking around that he was ready. Like, could you imagine if it came down to something like that? It's insane. But the same thing happened to the Baltimore Ravens. We were just talking about, the coach was just talking about that. The Ravens and the Steelers, I think Ravens, like you said, about 19 of them had to go down. And this game was supposed to be played on Thanksgiving. Okay? It was supposed to be played on Thanksgiving. Then they moved it to Sunday morning, which then didn't happen. Then they moved it to Monday. And then it eventually was played on Wednesday. Yeah, I know, George, I know. And eventually played on Wednesday. And the crazy thing is, this is the very first Wednesday game in 8 years. And the only reason they had a game on Wednesday 8 years ago is because it interfered with President Obama's DNC speech. So otherwise, I don't think that would have happened. And then before that was 1950. So a little history. So that's actually kind of cool. But you know what sucks? Is not only did the Ravens go in with their third and fourth string quarterback, RG3 and then McSorley, but they actually played a pretty good game. I was surprised. It was sloppy at first, but then it was a pretty good game. And the Ravens ended up losing, which sucks. But to make matters worse, RG3 is injured. So now they're going to go into this weekend with McSorley as their number one quarterback. How do you think that makes? How would you feel being that team, George? Going into the situation. Okay, I got my third and my fourth going in, and I leave, and now I only have my fourth.
Man, this feels to me is so devastating that you don't have those players to begin with. And then number two, RG3, like he's been injured throughout his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
So like with that, like nothing like I wouldn't say it's not surprising that RG3 got hurt, but at the same time, he has not been playing NFL games since I don't know how long.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, losing RG3 and not having any quarterbacks, and you don't even have Lamar Jackson, let alone like it's just a crazy time. It's just crazy for that organization.
It just sucks. It's like you're down. Let's kick you more while you're down, you know?
It drives coaches crazy to hear about that.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was going to coach next. You as a coach, how would you feel if like half of your team went down and you had to like scramble to, you know, bring in a fourth stringer, and then you find out your third stringer, fourth stringer goes down? Then what? What mentality goes through a coach's head?
Well, first Lamar's supposed to play.
Is he playing
He's
this week?
supposed to get activated.
Okay.
Supposedly, that's what last I heard. Okay. But if he doesn't, you know, this is people just got to adjust to the year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the baseball players, just like with basketball players, the basketball season, the bubble, coaches and players have to adjust to what's going on in this year. Under a normal year, yeah, it would suck. Like it would really suck. And there's no plan B, plan. But with COVID, you got to have plan D, E, F, beginning, and prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
You know, so for any team that I coach, you know, we have backup plans for people that can't make it last minute. Okay. You know, we have guys that ball and stuff like that. Okay. And it is what it is. You just got to deal with it. Your own team cost you this. So your strength coach is the reason why you're in this predicament. And, you know, that he would have lost his job that day. Because
he should have. I agree.
That one loss, this one game and this next game could be the reason they don't make the playoffs.
Yep. I agree.
So, you know, they don't make the playoffs, then you lose more money on top of everything. So, you know, it's just something you have to deal with, and everybody's got to be on the same boat.
Yeah.
And if one person's off, everything's thrown out the loop.
Absolutely. And that's what's been going on. Like, not just the Ravens and the Steelers. There's lots of teams that are going through issues right now. Look at the 49ers or anybody in the Bay Area right now. I don't know, George, if you know about the Bay Area ban right now. All sports are banned in the Bay Area. So the University of Stanford, we'll go over that later. Stanford Stanford football, I believe it was, lost a home game. The 49ers are moving to Arizona for a couple weeks. So they are literally going to stay there for a couple weeks, and their home games will be in there. So it's like, it's an adjustment. I mean, it's not to the extreme of like when Hurricane Katrina hit the Saints. You know, they went to San Antonio, you know, stuff like that. But it is to an extent. It's like, oh, crap, this happened. What do? We have no home. You know, Arizona opened their doors, and they're going to be playing Arizona for the next couple of weeks. It's crazy. Well, how do you feel hearing something like that?
That's just crazy.
Right?
That's just crazy. Just because the fact that you can't even play the sport, like, it's just, I don't know what to say about that, because, you know, you love playing the sport, but then at the same time, you're playing it for a living. So every day you don't play, you're losing some money. So I think that's why people are just getting bombarded about this whole situation.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, and they have to leave, which sucks. You know, it just makes it worse.
Yeah, and what about the Golden State Warriors? You know,
Stanford,
where are they going to play?
Stanford, you know, everybody, men and women. Like I said, I believe it was not football. I believe it was hoops. University of Stanford had a home game, and they're losing it because they have to go to whatever the team is that they're playing this week. They're going to be playing at their home. You know, it's stupid. They lose a home game because of it. And that's a county ban. You know, we have it bad down here, but they have it worse up there. Like, they have no sports whatsoever. You know, they can't do anything. It's ridiculous. So what can you do, right? You know?
Yeah.
You move on, adjust. Pass through it, do what you can. Passing. Speaking of passing, Aaron Rodgers, in my mind, he's a future Hall of Famer. He just surpassed 50,000 passing yards. I believe they played Chicago. No, did they play Chicago? I think it was Chicago.
I think they played the Bears.
I think they played Chicago, yeah. But yeah, 50,000 passing yards for his career. So, Coach Aaron Rodgers, what do you say about Aaron Rodgers, maybe as a coach and as a fan?
I think, well, personally, I'm a Bears fan, right?
Ouch.
So
Sorry.
I'm a little biased.
Sorry, I did
but-
not do that on purpose.
but,
I promise.
No. I think Rodgers is one of the top 3, if not the top most talented quarterback ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think he's overrated.
I agree.
He's only won one chip, and he had great teams until recent, like great offensive players around him.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, he's done a lot better with less players.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew the big game. You know, the team was so dominated when they won the championship, but the Super Bowl. But since then, like, he's lost a lot of big games, and it's almost afraid to throw the interception. Like, his touchdown to interception ratio is crazy.
Yeah.
By far the best ever. But he doesn't take chances either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's one thing, the big difference between him and Favre. But I think now, COVID plus he had a wake-up call, I think now he's kind of putting it all together.
Yeah.
And not being so, lack of a better word, uppity up. You know, with teammates and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's being more of a good guy. And I think that's going to the field. And he got a little extra motivation thanks to the Packers drafting a quarterback first round rather than a wide receiver, which they badly needed. So that was kind of like the thing that was down. But he's a Hall of Famer, but top. People were saying he's the GOAT and stuff like that. Nah,
no,
he's like barely top 5, if anything.
Yeah, it's funny you'd mentioned the word the GOAT because I was literally going to that next. It's like you're reading my mind. The Patriots played the Chiefs recently. I mean, the Bucks played the Chiefs recently, and the Bucks got smashed. You know, and people are going on social media, and I've seen it on Twitter, I've seen it on Insta, I even saw some on ESPN that pretty much they're saying Brady passed the torch that night. So with people saying that, you know, Brady's got what we say 3 rings, I believe it is. And, you know,
Mahomes has 6 rings with 9 Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah. So he's got a bunch. And then Mahomes has the 1, but Mahomes is still super young. All right. Do you feel that Mahomes is the guy who's going to get the torch, George?
I think so because, like, he showed that he could be the best quarterback in the NFL only because – you know, he has a good team. You know, he has Travis Kelce. He has, I don't know, did they still have Tyreek Hill?
Yeah,
Tyreek Hill. So I think like the Chiefs have enough to win another one. So I think it'll be harder because like you can't count out the Steelers because they're 11-0. But I think that even the Chiefs could like beat the Steelers, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs repeat. So that's how good the Chiefs are.
Okay. They got a good all-around team. What do you think?
In my opinion.
Okay. On the torch passing.
Yeah, I think that people they do this in every sport. They did it with Kobe. Everybody post Jordan, like who's the next, you know, MJ. You do it way too quick. You know,
I agree.
Mahomes is the quarterback in football right now.
Mm-hmm.
By far. I don't think he's close. Rodgers, Wilson, everybody included, but Mahomes is the best. But to say there's people on ESPN and the analysts saying he's a GOAT already, there's no way.
No. He's young.
In 1 year, he did sign a 12-year contract, which is amazing for the team. That's going to be he's going to be one of the cheapest quarterbacks in like 5 years. So long run, that was a great deal both ways. So he could become the GOAT if he keeps going like he's going.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows if he's going to get there? But this year, the biggest teams that you'll like, Ricky, is that the biggest competition to the Chiefs are the Titans and the Rams, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because the running game for the Titans, and then Donald and Ramsey on the Rams. Besides those 2 teams, I don't think anybody can beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, playoffs are going to be good this year. Honestly, there's a good mix. We'll be in there in just a second. I wasn't going to mention my Titans, but you brought them up. So the Titans beat the Colts in pretty strong fashion. I think it was kind of a retribution kind of thing because we should have beat them the first time we played them at home, and then we just came back and Derrick Henry was just straight beast. He was, King Henry. He brought the royal ass kicking. There's just no other way to put it. So I mean, we're only up by one game. Like I said in our last show, I think we win the division by one game. I think it's going to be a push. That division is ridiculous. So I mean, you got us, you got the Colts, and then I don't know. That whole AFC is ridiculous. Like when you hear the teams that are in the top 5 or the top 8 right now, some teams are gonna be like, "What the hell? Like seriously?" And then other ones you're like, "Okay, we expect the Steelers to be there. We expect Baltimore to be there. Stuff like that." Before we get into that though, I want to talk about, maybe I'll go to Coach for this one. Josh Gordon is returning from suspension, that big suspension he's been serving. He's returning, and NFL is allowing him to return, which I think is kind of weird. They're allowing him to return for the last 2 games, and he'd be going to Seattle. Number one, should the NFL allow him to return? And B, will he make a big effect when he goes to Seattle? What do you think?
Yes and no. Gordon, he has a lot of issues.
Yes, he does.
And a lot of mental issues off the field. And he's been outspoken about it. He hasn't hid behind it. He just struggles with addiction. And I think everybody should get chances after chances. Steve Young in baseball, the Yankees gave him, and Major League Baseball gave that dude like 8, 12 chances. Just if you can pitch, you can pitch. If you could run and catch a ball, you're going to get chances.
Yeah.
And if he's right, he's definitely going to help the Seahawks third wide receiver.
Yeah.
They already got studs in Lockett and Metcalf. So it'll just he doesn't have to come and be the star. He could just become another body
that'd be good for him though, because then he doesn't have to be the star. He can just fade in and do what he has to do. Speaking of the Seahawks, you want to talk about being out of the spotlight. This guy, I personally love this guy. He was a 13-year kicker. Steven Hauschka has retired. So I believe he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler. So shout out to him. Also, Ladarius Blount. I always can never say his last name. Of the Patriots, he's also retiring. He only played 9 years. So let's jump into the standings real quick, and then we'll hit the ice for a second. The standings, top 8, because we're doing 8 teams right now. In the NFC, which I think is the weaker, if you ask me, the weaker conference right now. You got Minnesota, San Francisco, Arizona, Tampa Bay, which is surprising the way that they've been playing, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Saints. So that's your setup for the NFC right now. How does that, George, how does that work with you, like seeing that? Like, does that, okay, I expected that, or is there anybody who stands out that you don't think should have been there, or what do you think? And then I'll go to Coach.
Okay. I mean, I think on paper, I thought Tampa Bay will be like that top team in that conference, only because of they have Tom Brady, they have Gronkowski, they have Michael Smith, right?
And they brought back AB,
the wide receiver.
They brought back AB.
Yeah, and they brought back AB. So that's just pieces altogether. That's like a weapon. But the thing is that my only downfall is like Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't really have a strong defense. Well, I think their defense is pretty decent, but it's just that it's not what I expected it to be. Like, look at the one game I mentioned before on the show against the Giants. Like, you think like with that, you think they should have blown out the Giants. I mean, Giants, they're somewhat of a, I wouldn't say a mediocre team, but they're average team. But that's just a team that they should have beat. But I mean, other than that, and then like the Rams too. Like I wanted the Rams to be on that top tier too, but they laid an egg on their last game that they should have. So
well, they're still
I thought they would.
They're still at number 4.
Yeah, they're still number 4,
time.
but they still got time. But yeah, I mean, I just expected like the Rams. I believe the Rams are going to do much better. So looking at the standings, there's been some surprises, but not to the point where it shocked me. So.
All right, Coach, go ahead.
No, I think, speaking on about the NFC being mediocre, I would say the top, yeah. So the AFC is better at the top with the Steelers and the Chiefs and the Titans.
Yeah.
But the NFC is deeper. The playoff teams are deeper. So because you got Tampa Bay, the Saints, they're going to have Breeze back by the playoff. The Packers, Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, Vikings. Mm-hmm. The NFC is deeper than the AFC. Okay. You know, there's going to be one team from we're not even going to count that team.
I didn't even put them in here. I did this by ranking.
That's the only weak team in the NFC playoffs.
Okay.
You know, because there's 6-7 teams. No one would be surprised if they came out and won if you had somebody at the bottom of the AFC, like the Browns, or the Raiders competing at the bottom of the playoff standings. If they came out, you'd be surprised. The people at the bottom of the NFC, you wouldn't be surprised if the 6-7 team came out and made the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Especially with no fans. A year with no fans. And no home field advantage, really.
Yeah, there really isn't. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the NFC East. We didn't even throw them in there because this is just by standings rankings. These are the top 8 standings, not because obviously the East would get in if, playoff brackets and stuff, but this is just the rankings itself. For the AFC, we got Baltimore, Miami, who were surprising this year, Indy, because Tennessee beat Indy, and then you have a 3-way tie for third with Tennessee, Buffalo, who are ridiculous if you ask me, and Cleveland. And then you got, obviously, KC and Pittsburgh. What do you think, Coach? Surprises, any of those?
No, I don't. Buffalo was up and coming last year. I'm surprised that the Patriots aren't doing better than they are. I thought personally Cam was going to do a little bit better. He was motivated, in shape. I wouldn't sleep on the rest of because I could see them making the playoffs, a late playoff run. Miami is the big surprise for me.
Okay.
Their defense is crazy good. And, the Browns surprised me a little bit, but they got a great running game as long as they just hand the ball to them and not give up.
Yeah.
Not let Baker mess up.
All right, Baker. Baker's often
good, but the problem was they always try to give it to Baker and make OBJ happy. They got Chubb and Hunt.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Play like the Titans. They got Titans that one player. Hand the ball off and let them rock.
Yeah, we're actually playing them. Go ahead.
Henry should be an MVP. I don't get, but he's not going to get it, but he's MVP of the NFL right now.
Okay. Yeah, we're actually playing them this Sunday, so that little tie for third is going to break up. So I think Buffalo will stay there because Buffalo's, like I said, they're beast. So I don't know. I think either way, like you said, the playoffs are going to be interesting this year. I think they're going to be really cool to see. I want to jump on the ice a little bit. We went over a little bit on time. Hockey, this will be super quick. There's a lot of teams that are open for going to outdoor arenas so that fans can attend, including the Kings. So if that was the case, do you think the NHL should allow it? And would you go as a fan? George, what do you think?
As a fan, I would love to go, but because of all these cases that's rising up, like for me personally, I wouldn't want to go. I would rather watch it on TV. But with respect to like what COVID is right now, but part of me does want to go, but because of COVID cases, like I'm just not going to be that one fan to go to attend.
Yeah, it looks like you're agreeing with him, Coach. So I think, yeah. What do you think?
I think one of the coolest things that they started doing in the NHL was the NBC outdoor game every year.
I love that game.
It started with like 3 or 4. So I think that was a different atmosphere, and you could see, especially the ones where you saw all the snow coming down and on ice, and it was kind of like brings back what I envision Canada would be at any local park.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how we have here.
Yeah.
There are people just playing pickup hockey there.
Yeah.
And as a fan, as long as it's like what they're doing with the NFL, where like there's
spreading them
spread out.
Uh-huh.
I would love to go. I think hockey is the best sport to watch live.
Yeah, it's insane.
On TV, it doesn't do it justice.
Mm-hmm.
But arena, I think hockey, and I'm not a big hockey fan, but at the arena, I think hockey's the best sport.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm actually friends with a couple hockey announcers, Phil Hewlett of the Anaheim Ducks, and then I also know the Nashville Predators announcer as well, and they have some pretty cool stories. So I would love to watch outdoor hockey. I mean, I remember they came to Dodger Stadium that one time, and I was like, what the hell are you thinking? There's no way this is going to happen. And it happened, and then it was crazy. But with the whole COVID thing, they're dropping like 30 games. They usually play just like basketball, 82. I think they play either 82 or 86. They're dropping to 52 to 56 games. Do you think this will help or hurt them, Coach? What do you think?
It's going to help them financially because each team's going to lose less money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the player, because every time they put on a home game, they're losing money.
Yeah.
With no fans. So it's going to help them financially, and just hope they're trying to get through another season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like the NFL is doing right now with trying to get through. They did a full season without cutting games, which but I think it's going to give them the best opportunity to get through a season.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I mean, and they're trying, you know, and there's actually a battle going on right now with the collective bargaining agreement and the players right now. So there's some issues going on with that, but yet they still say, hey, I'm open to getting fans. I'm open to coming back. I want to play, you know, so we'll see what's up. Daytona is doing the same thing in NASCAR. This will really quick. There was questions if Daytona 500 was going to take place. It still planned to go February 14th of all dates. And it's same thing you just said, Coach. It's going to be limited fans spread out throughout, you know, the track, the seating area. I think it'd be cool. I mean, like you said, as long as you're spread out, as long as they do the temp checks and all that stuff when you go in, you know, that's what theme parks are doing. Some places, you know, I went to the San Diego Safari Park. They did the same thing. You know, if you're smart about it, sports can work. But you got all these, like you said with the Ravens, you just got the couple people that just don't want to listen and they ruin it for the whole team. So I think Daytona will be cool. I don't know if you guys heard about the Formula One racer, Romain, I think his name is Grosjean. God, where was it? I think it was in the Middle East where it happened. Fiery crash. He literally just got out of the hospital. This was about a couple weeks ago. Literally just got out of the hospital a couple days ago. Major second-degree burns. And it's crazy. You know what's crazy about athletes? They're like, no matter what happens, they're ready to jump right back in. Like this dude has had to go to the burn unit and he's got second-degree burns and he's ready to just jump back in, you know? George, what do you think that attests to something like that? What? He's just like, oh, I'm good, you know? Is it denial? Is it, I just want to get back out there? Like, what is it?
I think they just want to just get back out there, but then at the same time, it's kind of denial because you really want to be out there so much that you don't want to think about like the injury. But at the same time, like what they don't know is that since it's a second-degree burn, like it's a risk of like leading up to a worse injury.
Mm-hmm.
So I think based on that, I think like players just want to play, you know, no matter what the circumstances are.
Yeah. What do you think, Coach? Same thing?
Yeah, just, you know, people do this for a living, the pro athletes, but they did it in the first place because they enjoy playing.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the thing they love. You know, if it's driving.
Yeah.
If it's golf, it's golf. It's something they'll do on their own. You know, like basketball players just want to hoop. Like, boot is brand. That's why it's so on point. Like, they just play. You know, of course they want to get paid and get what they deserve and what the most they could get. But in the end, if there's no pro basketball or no pro anything, they would still do that sport.
Yeah. because it's a love, it's a passion.
They just want to play. COVID or not, they're still going to go find a, if you're a basketball player, you're going to find a park that actually has a rim. You're going to go shoot.
Yeah.
You're going to find a gym or open up a gym for you. You're going to go play.
True.
Like we were talking about earlier, Kobe couldn't practice at the Forum, so he went to the college.
Yeah.
A college of the Canyons.
Do it.
Yeah, people are going to find a court, find whatever field, find a golf course, find a racetrack, and still do what they love.
But do you think, just like coming back from an injury, we're all athletes here. We've all been through injuries. But coming through a near-death experience like that, do you think that's going to go through his head the first time he gets behind the wheel again, Coach?
When something drastic happens, you don't know how you're going to react until you get into it. So, often a lot of injuries, like with basketball, you heard it, like if your left leg is hurting, you're going to hurt your right leg because you're favoring it. Even though it's percent. With RG3 we were talking about earlier, he had a devastating injury. And I don't think he's ever recovered because of that. Yes, he's had a since, but he's never been the same player since that one injury.
Yeah.
You have a drastic injury or drastic incident like the race car driver, you won't know how you react. You could say you're good until you put into that situation. You turn on the car, you're in, and it comes up because you don't know where your mental is going to be in that very moment.
So true.
Prepare all you want. So you won't know until that very second. Once you get through it, you'll know either way.
Yeah.
You can't do it, you might as well retire. But if you can get through it, yes, in baseball, Sachs or Chuck Knobloch can't throw it to first base. They've done it their whole life. One incident happens, and they just can't get it out of their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, in practice, they could throw it 300 feet on the strike. But in the game, it happens. Catchers like the movie Major League. The catcher.
Yes. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Throw it back to the pitcher. That's a real thing. There's catchers today.
I'm a catcher. I hear you.
Can't throw it back to the pitcher.
Well,
because of one incident. Kenko was a pitcher, and he threw like 93, 94, one of the best pitchers in baseball. He had one game where he was wild, and he couldn't find the strike zone after that, and they made him an outfielder.
Yeah, and it worked out for him. So,
athletes are different. You don't know how your mental is going to be. That's why Kobe was because he didn't let anything affect him.
Yeah.
With a mama mentality. So,
yeah.
The driver's he's not going to know until he's in that instant, in the very moment, and probably won't know it until there's another crash, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what it takes. It's funny you mentioned that, not funny, haha, but like funny, like you really got to think about it, that you don't know how people are going to react until something happens. And I'm going to jump into sports entertainment real quick. WWE lost someone this week. Very, very popular person. Very, insurmountable person. He created so many things. Talking about Pat Patterson. He was the first ever Intercontinental Champion in WWE, WWF, way back when with the original Vince McMahon. He's the godfather of the Royal Rumble. If you've ever seen any Royal Rumble match, he's the godfather of the Royal Rumble. And another crazy thing that came out of nowhere, and mind you, he died at 79. So while he was wrestling at these times, racism was rampant. It still is now, but racism was rampant, sexism was rampant, and hate crimes against gays were rampant. And he was an openly gay wrestler, so, and going through, God, if he was wrestling, it had to be like the 60s-ish, 70, if he was wrestling around that time, 70, yeah, around then. So, and then he used that experience that he went through to help out what is called NXT, which is like the minor league of WWE. And you get all kinds of people coming out saying that he used his story to help others, either open doors, not just for gays, but for anything, for women, for, people who, like we talked about before, you didn't think they can do something. And, he said, well, look what I went through, kind of like how we talked with O earlier, what he went through, and he's helping other people get through what they're going through, no matter what it is, personal or in the ring, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So Pat Patterson, 79 years old. He died of cancer, and it was a quiet one. He didn't make it all public that he had cancer, So rest in peace to Pat Patterson, first ever Intercontinental Champion. We're gonna go from one guy leaving us to one guy returning. So you both will probably know who this is. AEW is a side promotion that Cody Rhodes pretty much runs with along with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tony Khan. And he brings in all kinds of old superstars from other federations and stuff. And on Wednesday, he brought back Sting, which was pretty cool. What do you guys think about bringing back, instead of bringing up newer talent, bringing in legends out of nowhere? Like, should they mix it up the way that they've been doing, or should it just be like, hey, you're this new federation, you should have a bunch of new up and comers? You're a coach. What do you think, Don?
Well, first of all, Sting was one of my guys that watched wrestling. I loved watching him. There's good and bad. So I'm torn, right? So especially when you're not like the WWE,
Mm-hmm.
You need to bring in just names.
Yeah.
That could bring in money, bring in sponsors, bring in profits.
And Cody's doing a good job of that. He's brought in a lot of.
So yeah, as long as there's a good mix.
Yeah.
And you need a good mix of bringing in vets that could just bring in money.
Mm-hmm.
And guys that want to come up. If you have one or other, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be a balance of both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know WWE let him go last WrestleMania 2 years ago, and he's been out for a while. But Sting and the American Dream Dusty Rhodes were really close buddies, and then Cody is Dusty Rhodes' baby. So, so they brought him. It was super cool. No one expected it, so we'll see where that goes. Let's see. Let's jump into another legend, another future Hall of Famer. We talked about this guy last week and actually the week before. Nick Saban, again, was recovering from COVID symptoms again for the second time, which is kind of scary. He will be on the sideline today versus LSU. Do you think that's going to help Alabama, or would they have been okay even without him since they're number one? What do you think, George? And then we'll go to Coach.
I think, like, if I was Alabama, like, I'm happy that the coach is back. Just the fact that, like you said, he was dealing with COVID issues. So it's just good for him to be back with the team and start kind of coaching again. But, like, for me, like, if that was me, like, I would be happy that the coach is back, just because, like, one, he's back from COVID, and then two, he could get back to coaching again. Mm-hmm. And I think that's only going to uplift this team because of his ability to coach his team. So, mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's pretty good for that Alabama organization for him to be back.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Coach? You're a coach.
Things. Well, first, he's not having COVID again. The first one was a false positive.
Oh, was it? Okay.
That's why he coached that.
Oh, okay.
Weekend. So it was a false positive, but he had minor symptoms and stuff, so he's good, and he's coming back. For this one game, LSU's fallen off the map since they've struggled this year. Mm-hmm. It's winning the championship last year, but so it wouldn't affect this one game. But Saban's the GOAT of college basketball. He's a Belichick for college football, so for the playoffs is a bigger thing. Mm-hmm. And to get back into, every coach runs the practice different. Even if you're on the same staff, you do things differently, right? Mm-hmm. But they need to get back into the same routine before playoffs. The Alabama's they can run on cruise control till the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because they lose 10 to 15 guys every year.
It's true.
And 10 to 15 stars. They go to every state and get the best player. They're like Miami in the heydays when Miami was good. Every dynasty, they're probably the best dynasty ever now, or longest dynasty. So they're, until Saban's gone, Alabama's going to be. You could just bet on it. They'll be in the playoffs every single year.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. It's so funny. I've heard before. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll bring it up real quick. People have said that, like, the champion of the NCAA I don't know, like should face like the lowest ranked NFL team. Have you ever heard something like that? I know XFL said it when XFL was back. They said, oh, the Houston Roughnecks could take the Jets or whoever, the Browns at the time, could take the Browns, and if they beat the Browns, they should go to the NFL. Like that would be interesting, right? If they had like,
I think Miami said it when they were on and popping. You know, USC said it. They said USC when they were with Reggie and those guys, and now Alabama. But you know, you have a team of like, what is a college football team? Is like 75 to 80 players.
mm-hmm.
Only 10 to 15 are going to play pro.
Mm-hmm.
NFL. Even the worst team, the Jets, the Ofer, they got 53 guys that are playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, so from balance, you know, maybe in a one-game series, they may the top in the could win.
Mm-hmm.
You play the Jets played Bama 16 times. Jets are going to win more times.
Yeah, we got one.
They got grown men versus young adults.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, in theory, it'd be good, but the XFL is interesting. Like it'd be like
cool.
It'd be like soccer that's over in Europe.
Uh-huh.
Bottom two teams or whatever get demoted. The top two go up.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Year, so you have to play well every year. You can't tank. Like they're tanking for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do bad because you'll get demoted to the bottom level and then work your way back up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How Europe does sports.
Yeah, I like that. We should adopt that. I can't stand tanking. It drives me absolutely nuts. Okay. This next thing is kind of controversial, but that's just me. Sarah Fuller, let's be real, her kicking game was not that good last week, but the fact that she was there is awesome. She is staying at Vandy. Vandy is keeping her, but they fired Derek Mason, who I believe was their coach. I don't know if that's why or if there was more to it, but my question is, do you think they brought her back for publicity, or do you think that she legit deserves to be on the team? What do you think, George, after seeing what happened last week?
I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't read too much of it, but I think like based on what you said,
her kick was like, I only made it to like the 40 from the kickoff.
Yeah.
It is controversial if you ask me. It's cool.
Yeah, I think it's for I think like it's just for publicity.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, what
That's
do you think?
all I could say about that.
What do you think, Coach? You think it's publicity, or do you think she should legit?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, one being the first, two, Vandy doesn't have any. They're over.
Yeah.
That's why he got fired.
Okay, I didn't know they were over. Okay.
They're not a good team. Regardless, you know, if they were a good team, they wouldn't need a female kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Ready, you know, so they don't really have any good kickers. That's why they brought on. And you know, when Mason was before he got fired, he was like, we got him in her to practice.
Mm-hmm.
Now she beats him out.
Yeah, of course.
So if that's the case, if it's even playing field, like whoever was a kicker before, as long as they can compete in practice, then so be it.
Okay.
Apparently, she's kicked a lot better in practice.
Yeah.
In the game, so you know, to have her first kick, I'd be nervous.
Yeah.
I did the punt, pass, and kick back in the day. The punt and the pass. But when we got to the kicking, I would always be first, way ahead of my age group.
Mm-hmm.
The kicking off the tee,
yeah,
lose it. I go from first to like eighth.
Mm-hmm.
I kick off the tee.
Yeah,
and so it's a hard thing. Like it's not easy. You know,
she's a soccer player.
That she hasn't done it in her whole life, and then in a D1 game
mm-hmm.
with 250 plus dudes out there. You know, like I can't blame her. I know the next time she plays, she's gonna kill it.
Yeah, which I hope so. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. So, but you never know in sports these days because it's so, like George was saying, there's so much publicity stunts pulled, especially for someone who's an offer. We need to get noticed. We need to be seen. So I hope that's not the case, and I hope she does kick ass today. You know, excuse my French. Last thing for college football, unless you guys have something, the Sun Bowl has been canceled. First time it's been canceled since 1935. I believe it was supposed to be in El Paso, Texas this year is what they were saying. So again, COVID related. So smart move.
Yeah.
Lose money.
I'd be surprised if not all the bowls besides the
Playoffs.
July 1st bowls.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised if they go on because the funding, they make money off the sponsors.
Yeah.
And there's no sponsors, there's no game, there's no fans. So why hold a game? It's just another game for people to get contact and risk injury. Like if I was the player and I was looking to the draft, I wouldn't play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be playing the season.
No, I make
honest. I'd just be training for next year.
Yeah.
I agree with Coach.
Draft, so I get ready for combine.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be more bowls canceled. Holiday Bowl got canceled a long time ago, but
that's San Diego, right?
It's just this season, this year, and whatever games are happening, we just need to enjoy and cherish those.
Well, like George was saying a couple weeks ago, they should just have the playoffs in a bubble. It's what? How many teams are they doing this year? Because they usually do 4. They're doing 4, right? Do it in a bubble. Do it in a bubble. Do a day game, a night game, and then the next week do the championship. That's what they should do.
Just cut it completely short. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should do that. Speaking of cancel, I talked to Coach about this today, I think, actually. This sucks because me, Coach, along with me, we're really excited to see this game. We're going to hit the college hardwood. Number 2 Baylor, number 1 Gonzaga, not happening because multiple players contracted COVID. This sucks. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, the top 2 teams in the country. It's rare that it happens during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And Baylor and Gonzaga by far have looked the best out of any college team.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the Zags. Like, I've always rooted for the Zags because they're the underdog. And Mark Few is top 3 coach in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done the more with the least of any time. Because they weren't, until this year, they never had a McDonald's All-American.
Mm-hmm.
I got one, Jared Suggs. The Suggs is the highest rated player they've ever got.
Mm-hmm.
And that's different. But, I know he got hurt his last game against West Virginia, but came back and they won the game. But, he's going to be a top 10 pick. And the Zags, this could be the Zags' year.
Yeah, so, I hope so.
They made it to the championship that one year recently and lost a close one, but it would have been real interesting to see Baylor. Baylor's recovered from all their incidents, which I'm glad to see because they've had a lot of stuff off the court that affected their play, but they're stacked too. They got inside out, and both teams play the right way. They don't just jack up threes, and I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I wanted to see it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I got the top 5 rankings right now. Just like football, I want to go ahead and throw that out there, and you guys can tell me your surprises. Obviously, Gonzaga's on top. Baylor's number 2. You got Iowa at number 3, Wisconsin at 4, and Illinois at 5. George, any surprises in the top 5?
No, not really.
Yeah.
So those are all good teams.
Yeah,
and they're ranked up for a reason. So
Wisconsin almost lost to Wisconsin Green Bay the other week. So it's like
my little sister went to Wisconsin.
Oh, crazy!
And she always talks smack on how good like their sports teams are, which they are. They're pretty good. So yeah, no surprises at all for me.
What do you think?
Iowa has the best player in college basketball. With Carver, the big dude, and he's dominant. And there's rare to have a big guy in college basketball that can dominate on the offensive side.
Yeah.
But it just good the Big Ten is in basketball. They're the deepest conference, and that hasn't happened for a long time. It's usually been just Michigan State and maybe Wisconsin here and there, but now they have Michigan State, Wisconsin, Illinois.
Yeah.
You're not even talking about Michigan. They have the top-rated class going to next year. Howard has the top-rated class.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, the Big Ten is where basketball is now, where it used to be the ACC.
Okay. Crazy. That is crazy. Let's give the ladies some love a little bit. Let's jump into the women's basketball. I don't have many stories. But this one was really cool. Actually, when we did Oliver's story earlier today on Double Dribble, which you guys can see on YouTube as well, All Sports Media Team. Syracuse, University of Syracuse, Tina Mankia, I believe her name is, or Mankia. It looks kind of Hawaiian to me. She's returned from breast cancer. Oliver told a story about his sister and breast cancer coming back and doing her thing. Well, Tina Mankia, she hit the floor. Oh God, I want to say it was either Monday or Tuesday this week. So that's a hard, any type of return is huge, but especially from cancer to come back, come to your school, come to your team. How does that build up when you get I don't know if you've ever had someone who's had a terminal illness on your team or not, coach, but if you did, or something traumatic happened and then they return, how does that build up the team itself and the coach?
Well, you in a way smaller, you see how Buddha's return affected our team.
Yeah.
And it was just a minor injury, right? Some players just are different. But someone that overcame cancer and she came back during cancer week, and has a big, cancer week every year with Jimmy Valvano Foundation. 6 years since the best speech I've ever heard in my entire life.
I agree.
Sports related or not, that's the best speech ever. That it's just even more empowering. Cancer sucks. Like my dad died of cancer. Like cancer is the beast. It's a hidden beast too. Mm-hmm. You don't see it, you don't feel it. The person does feel it, but you can't tell someone just has cancer just by looking at them. And it's a silent disease that kills way too many people. And the saddest part of COVID is that the funding for cancer has gone way down because all of it's going to COVID, which probably so. But cancer was getting really close to a lot of possible, cures. And the way ESPN is promoting, bringing back funds for cancer is amazing. So big ups to her, and that's amazing as a young lady coming back from something like that.
Yeah, big ups. That's why I think it's so awesome. We're going to be doing the female hoopers for the next month. Stuff like this. The stories are going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that.
It's going to be awesome. Here's the rankings again. Top 5. Absolutely no surprise if you ask me, except for Baylor. They're a lot lower than I thought they would be. We got 5 is Louisville, 4 Baylor, 3 Stanford. 3 Connecticut. I'm sorry. 2 Stanford, and South Carolina is number 1. George, what you got?
If it's surprising?
That's not surprising to me at all, except Baylor.
No, it's not.
Well, South Carolina just lost, so they're going to drop.
Wait, who just lost?
South Carolina.
Did they lose today, or when did they lose?
They lost to NC State yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's
wow. Was that upset game?
So
they got upset. They only scored like 29 points, and Dawn Staley, who's one of the best female players ever, is the coach, and she was just like, she called out her team saying, we just played pickup. It was like we were playing pickup basketball.
It was humiliating.
It was crazy, like how low scoring. But Baylor lost also. That's why they're 4.
Yeah. One game, man. That's the thing about college, man. One game will break.
It's just, this is a different year. There's going to be upsets galore. You see it in San Francisco beat Virginia.
Yep. I remember that we talked about that.
Good since Bill Russell, like in '67. There's going to be upsets because there's no fans.
Yeah.
Just like the bubble. Like people could get upset because you don't have that home field advantage. And things worked out different, especially in the female game. There's way more upsets in the female game than the men's game because it happens every year. You'll see a 16 seed beat a 1 seed in the tournament.
I love upsets.
Because the balance of female basketball, besides UConn, is there's a lot of good players out there.
It's crazy to see UConn that low. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, Ricky. Like, to your point, Coach, like, look at the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks series. Like, we thought the Milwaukee Bucks would come out in the East, but the Heat just came out of nowhere. So I think going to that point, yes, there's going to be a bunch of upsets, but the Heat were up and coming. Like, I didn't see the Miami Heat coming up. Like, I knew they were good, but I didn't know they were that good. Only because Milwaukee Bucks, they've been good all year, having the best record in the whole NBA organization. So yeah, from what you said, like there is going to be some upsets, and I think based on that, that makes watching basketball a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I agree, 1,000%. And you know what else is interesting? Always, regardless of what sport you're looking at, is the lottery pick for the draft. The Liberty, New York Liberty, they got it again for the second year in a row. And last year they got, is it Sabrina Ionescu?
Yeah, Sabrina.
Sabrina Ionescu. I love her.
It was Sabrina.
You know, and then Liberty, it's bad. You know what I don't get?
I love Sabrina.
I feel bad. Yeah, we were talking about that. The Liberty, they I think they've been around since the inception, right, of WNBA. And they've had some good players, but yet they always struggle in the playoffs. Like, is it like a New York Knicks thing, or like what's going on there, you know? Especially now they're getting 2 number 1 picks 2 years in a row. It's just like, but Seattle's out there. So, I mean, come on.
Well, you know, Sabrina got hurt. That's why they had the number 1 pick. You know, like if she would have played the whole season and stuff, they would have been different. But you know, the Knicks were the Liberty were close. They were in the finals a couple times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it took good teams. You know, it is what it is.
Well, do you feel? I know the Connecticut Sun have been pretty beast lately. Do you feel that the West is a smidge stronger than the East? I mean,
usually it's been like with when the start of it, Houston and the Sparks. You know, those 2 teams were the dominant 2 teams. Sparks in Seattle and Las Vegas on the West Coast, and then the Minnesota team they don't even have Maya Moore.
Minnesota, they kill.
And Maya Moore is, in my eyes, top 3 of all time.
I agree.
Yeah, I love Maya Moore.
No,
Maya Moore is always that guy. It's always that girl that I was afraid of, that she's going to have a big game against the Sparks.
She's awesome. Well, look at in Connecticut, another team that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and you know, it's with female basketball, because you can't really have that dominant physical specimen. Like, you know, like you got to play team ball, so there's way more balance usually in basketball. You know, if you get one team that gets hot, then anything happens. Plus, they only play 3-game series.
Yeah, that's true.
So the playoffs, that changes a lot of things. You know, you could win 2 games. It's a lot tougher to win 4.
Yeah.
That's so it allows for more upsets.
Yeah. All right. Since you're saying upsets, we have to jump into the next thing because it's perfect. Not the first story, but the story to follow. Let's jump in the boxing ring a little bit. All right. I'm not gonna lie. I was torn. I was excited and disappointed at the same time with the Tyson Jones fight, because I like Jones, but I wanted to see him get knocked out. I wanted Tyson just to be that dominant. We talked about on the show. We all thought Tyson was going to knock out Jones. I didn't even give Jones 2 rounds, but he lasted all 8 to an finger quote unofficial draw. I didn't like that. I get it's an exhibition.
I didn't agree with that call.
It's an exhibition, but
it was clearly Mike Tyson's fight
Tyson
from the beginning.
But also the judges were former fighters. Too.
Yeah, but they said, I heard a story where they talked to both fighters. The rules were you don't go for a knockout, which is what they knock them out, and then it's going to be a draw.
Oh, okay. So it was set.
They said that from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
You know, it was just an exhibition. There was never going to be any winning.
Okay.
So everybody knows who won just by watching it.
Okay.
You know. You knew who was going to win before the fight even happened.
Yeah, of course.
Jones was never. He fought like at 160, maybe 170.
Yeah.
You know, Tyson's a heavyweight.
He was yoked. He was
power between the 2.
Ridiculous.
Tyson was in great shape.
Yeah. There's no way.
But with that said, this one was unsanctioned. Do you think, with the whole Holyfield still calling out Tyson, still railing him, still hounding him on social media like crazy? He already did it again. He said, sign the paperwork. Let's do this. Do you think if they do get that fight, will it be sanctioned? Will the WBO actually sanction this fight? And if so, will they go all out? What do you think, Coach?
They should if they wanted to bring fans to boxing.
Yeah.
You know, but if they don't, it won't. The rule of knockout won't be in play. Like,
no, not with those two. Hell no. They hate
you know, yeah, they're just going to let him rock. They can tell him all they want. It's just going to be what it is.
which would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, people box for a reason. They box to win and not to do that. That's what they do. Unless you're Mayweather, then you just play around and you play points.
Yeah.
That's why I can't stand Mayweather. But another topic. Most boring fights ever.
Another topic for another day.
Good day.
His fights are so boring, yet he's so good. But yeah, Tyson's a different level. You know, Tyson's talking about toad venom, and you know, which is crazy. Like, that dude is so honest that it's true. Like, if anybody else said it, I'd be like, nah, he's just playing.
Yeah.
Tyson,
Yeah,
you never know.
He doesn't just say stuff. He says he probably took it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, let's jump into the elephant in the room. We all know we want to talk about it. We all want to laugh about it, especially you guys both being basketball guys.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, what were you thinking? Nate Robinson. Oh my God, he got laid the hell out. Go ahead, George. You want this one.
Man, he went to sleep. That's what happened. He went to sleep. And then, like, what's crazy about this is Nate Robinson was the one that called him out on social media. Was it Twitter?
Yeah, either that or YouTube, yeah.
Or YouTube, whatever it is. But you called him out, and you chose to do this fight. So, with all this, like, bro. And then, like, he wasn't even – I didn't think he was ready. I didn't even see it. He said, like, he was training for, what, like 7 months, like 7 days a week. I didn't see that from Nate Robinson. Like, he was playing offense, but he wasn't playing defense. In boxing, in any type of fight, you have to have both. If you don't, like, especially facing like against like certain guys, like, you have to have both, or else you're gonna get knocked out like he did early in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And then like once he got punched once, I already knew it was over.
Yeah.
Because like one hand behind your neck, you're not recovering from that pretty quick. So I kind of knew from that point on, like, okay, Nate should not have done this fight.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you're gonna do this fight and you're calling somebody out, have like at least a year of training, bro.
Yeah, get something. Yeah.
At least a year of training. Like, you can't, like, boxing is not like basketball, football, tennis, soccer. It's not a play-in sport. This is a business where you could actually get severely hurt.
Yeah.
So with all that, like, I don't think for me personally, I don't think Nate Robinson should fight ever again.
Yeah, we were talking about
that. He really shouldn't be fighting again, especially getting knocked out by
he did, man. He got hit hard.
After getting knocked out like that, do not play that sport again. I'm pretty sure his wife and his kids was telling him, "Hey, you shouldn't do this fight." But he didn't listen. He went ahead and did it. And guess what? Here's the results. And like a lot of social media is after his butt, man.
Mm-hmm. What do you think,
He
Coach?
should not have done that fight.
No, I agree.
It's you could tell that he was just going for show, because you don't box like he did. You know, dude said it best. Like, you know, like, he lunged in. If you lunge in, you're gonna get knocked out by who? I don't care who. If Nate was fighting George would have gotten a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%. I would have knocked him out.
I'm gonna go on a whole different tangent though, but like, Stoop needs to do every pro activity broadcasted. He should be on the broadcasting crew, because he's hilarious.
He was awesome.
Like, that dude, the reason
man.
why he's hilarious is he knows sports. Like, he follows it. He really dives into it.
Mm-hmm.
He really knows it. And Snoop should be on all broadcasts going forward. And for boxing, they should have Dame. If you've ever heard Dame Lillard talk about boxing, I don't think anybody that's not a boxer knows more about boxing than Dame.
Mm.
Like, look at his Instagram.
There you go.
He's a boxing fan. Like, that guy should be on all boxing analysts. But yeah, we need a lot more Snoop in our lives, for sure.
I agree. So,
And I think that's what.
go ahead.
Sorry to cut
No,
you
go
off,
ahead, go ahead.
Ricky, but I think that's what made like that fight a lot more interesting. Just hearing Snoop doing all the commentating on that fight, on that particular fight. But I'll say one more thing. I just think, and then like since Nate Robinson like was fighting for the first time, how come we couldn't have like one of those little like protective helmets for him to like not get knocked out? Because I mean, like clearly he wasn't ready.
Press would eat him alive. No.
I don't know. Like he should.
No.
Okay, then I'm going to my original opinion. He should not have done that fight in the first place.
Oh, there you go.
It was funny.
You call his
and
manager.
it was for show, but don't ever do that again.
You go tell his manager. Well, with that said, let's jump over.
I'll let him know about that too.
Yeah, let's jump over to the other fighter, Jake Paul, the big YouTuber. He knocked him the hell out. But now because of that, Jake Paul's getting all kinds of challenges from people, and he's shooting out challenges. First one I heard, Michael Tarver has called him out. So Michael Tarver has called him out for a boxing match. Jake Paul has also challenged Conor McGregor to a boxing match, which I was like, really, bro? And
I heard about that.
To top it off, his brother, Logan Paul, has called him out to have a match. So is this like, is he legit serious about this, or is this more publicity again? Coach, what do you think?
Well, that's how they got famous.
Yeah.
They do, Jake, they called out Tiger, the dude showed up to the dude's house.
Yeah, I saw it.
That's how they got famous. That's all they're the Instagram day, social media, that's what they do. The interesting one is the Logan Paul Canseco. I brought it up to
you. Oh, yeah, you told me. I forgot about that one. I'm sorry.
Like he dated Canseco's daughter, and the stuff that Logan Paul's saying on social media right now about his Canseco's daughter, Canseco's ready to sign today. And he's already knows that Logan Paul did his daughter dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And now what he's saying about his daughter, I won't repeat it. I can't repeat it. Look it up. Look at the comment that he said about what he did to Canseco's.
Yeah.
And Jose's going to kill the dude.
Yeah. In a nutshell, expect the unexpected when it comes.
And Jose's going to be on steroids for sure. So.
Oh yeah.
Because they ain't testing for it, but yeah, I wouldn't mess with Jose.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, so just don't expect the unexpected when it comes to the Paul brothers. Let's jump into the MLS really quick. This will be super fast. We talked about Seattle being a sport powerhouse. Well, we got the conference finals. They are set. The Columbus Crew will be taking on the New England Revolution. There we go with New England in the finals again. And in the West, we got Minnesota FC United will be taking on the defending champion Seattle Sounders. If you ask me, the Sounders are going to just run the table because I saw them. I watched the playoff game last week. The Sounders are beast. And like we said before, Seattle's a powerhouse, an underrated powerhouse. What do you guys think about that? I know we kind of covered Seattle, but is the Sounders like just proving our point, Coach, by what we said last week?
Well, Seattle, the Sounders, they're always good. They've been good from day one. It is what it is. They beat the LAFC. LAFC was missing some players, but between those two teams, they're all good programs are always going to be good. It's sports. It's not by coincidence that the team's good.
Yeah. I mean, you got to make the deals to make it happen, right? Whether it's bringing up the kids or making deals. Let's jump into baseball really quick. We got about 20 minutes-ish. We'll try to finish these baseball and basketball if we can. I don't know if that'll happen, but we'll try. The Dodgers, Coach. Dodgers went out and got a relief pitcher. I think he's kind of underrated if you ask me, Corey. It's Knebel, I believe, from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
For a player to be named later, I think the Dodgers got the better deal there. Because, depending on who they get.
The only reason they got him for cheap because he got hurt.
Yeah.
In 2018, he was, top 5 reliever in the game.
Yeah.
He got a major injury, and, when you're a pitcher and you get a major arm injury, you could come back in a year, but you're really not yourself until 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dodgers have made, the last 3 or 4 years, made it their living on getting relievers that were studs and then got hurt, and they fix them and then they let them go. You know, they did it with Brandon Morrow. He got paid by the Cubs. Yeah. This year by Thean, he's paid by somebody.
Yeah.
So use them for a year, they fix them, and then they let them off, and they get paid more money, and they bring in another guy.
Yeah.
But Nabel, he's a stud. You know, if he's right and healthy, you know, he's a beast, and exactly what they need.
Yeah.
I hope they go for Brad Hand.
I like
that's
Brad Hand
too. So if they get him, sign us up for another ring.
Yeah, we still got a lot of huge names out there we're going to jump into in just a minute. Speaking of huge names, you know, shout out Tommy Lasorda, finally out of the, I don't know if he's out of the hospital. He's out of ICU.
Yeah.
Thank God.
He's still there. He's just out of the ICU.
Yeah, thank God, because not that many nicer people than Tommy. We went over this last week. So continue praise for Tommy and for Lasorda family. Jump over to the other side of the freeway. This one pissed me off. You might say otherwise, Coach, because you like to look into the analytics. I don't like Jose Iglesias personally. The Angels just got shortstop Jose Iglesias from the Orioles. He used to play for the Tigers, I believe, and the Red Sox. I know he's on the Tigers. Little guy, probably bat 8th or 9th, you know, or he can bat second, be a setup hitter. But everybody's like praising his defense, but I don't think it's as good as people are making it out to be. But then again, we just had Simmons. So
like Simmons is the next level.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Definitely not an upgrade. It's a downgrade.
Absolutely.
He's top 3 all time.
You
know, like that's legitimate. Like his offense has always sucked. You know, has been his weaker link. You know, but Iglesias is just like a whatever guy. Like I told you on the post. Like, that's why the Angels are struggling because
they just threw him in. They could have. I mean, they got. I mean, Artie owns the team. He owns the stadium. He owns. We got the new GM. Why didn't we go after a bigger name? You know, Didi's still out there. There's a couple.
They can't. You know, like if I was them, I'd blow it all up. And honestly, I would trade Trout.
They'll wait a couple more years for that.
As many good pitchers as possible. They got to rebuild their farm system. You know, the Dodgers are good now because their farm system is good. You got to recoup. The Angels haven't had a good pitcher since Greinke. You know, like, and that was almost 10 years ago at least. Starting pitching. If you don't have starting pitching, you have nothing.
Yeah. I mean, we had, you know, Heaney and people like that, and they're good, but they're still really young. They're still getting used to it and stuff, you know? So
you don't have enough pitching to compete.
I agree.
Young guys aren't going to do it. You got to have studs.
Well,
and then have a balanced rotation.
No, I agree. And our bullpen's weak, like super weak.
Yeah,
and we just let go.
That's a double whammy. You got to have one or the other at least.
And we just let go of Robles and Anderson, so we don't have anybody. Speaking of pitchers, Bauer's agent just tweeted, "Hey, Angel fans, we see you." Should we read into that, or is they just again publicity, trying to throw in this publicity? Bauer went to UCLA. He's a local kid, you know.
I wanted the Dodgers to get Bauer for the last 4 years, so I'm a Bauer fan. That dude backs up. He's hilarious. His social media is Twitter is the funniest thing to watch, and he doesn't hold his tongue. He's a smart dude. He's called out. The stuff he said about the Astros is amazing.
I remember that.
But he's a Cy Young. He just won the Cy Young, so
and there's reasons behind that.
I hope they get him. That's the kind of guy they need.
Yeah,
you know, don't last year, but they really don't need hitting. They need pitching.
I agree. You know, we need that leader. We need that leader.
Rest.
Yeah.
But if you got Bauer, that'd be a great start.
That would be amazing. And then maybe people
keep Bauer away from the Padres, which has been talked about too. So I love that.
Padres are amazing.
With the Dodgers, you know, hey, go to the Angels.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if he wants to stay home, then he'll go to one of those. You know, and even San Diego. God, I hope he doesn't go to San Diego. Also, okay, so the Angels needed a shortstop. They went and got it. We need pitching. Obviously, I don't know what's going to go on with that. We need a catcher. We have 2 kids. They need a mentor. They need someone. We talked about Yachty. But the Angels and the New York Mets are both talking to James McCann right now, the Chicago White Sox. George, I don't know if you know who that is. You can nod no if you don't. So I'll go to Coach.
No.
James McCann, Coach. Do you think the Angels should go after McCann or should they shell out the money on Yachty?
Either way, both of them are. McCann would be better long run.
Be younger.
Because you're going to save money, but either way, they just need to get like the dot. Even somebody if they have someone like Austin Barnes, are with the Dodgers. If I was them, I would go after Ruiz, who we have. Like try to make up a trade for Ruiz because that guy is a stud, but he has nowhere to play.
Yeah,
they need to get somebody like that they could play for the next 15 years.
Yeah, we can't keep.
He's good. He's decent. Chicago's a good hitting park. His stats are overblown. The White Sox don't need him. They got Grandal, so.
It's true. It's just another thing that was the kind of thing that I don't like. I do like him, but we already have too many right-handed bats. Like, we need a left-handed bat. So that's why when Victor was a free agent, I'm like, man, we got to go after Victor Martinez. We should have went after Victor Martinez. If we can get a switch hitter like, Grandal, I was praying they would have got Grandal, but then
you got to pay 20. Grandal makes way too much money for it. That's why the Dodgers got rid of him. He got 18 mil from Milwaukee. We have two guys that make less than $2 million that do just as good.
Yeah.
And they're better defenders. They call a better game.
Yeah.
It's just a luxury as a catcher. You got to be able to call a game.
Well, yeah.
And if you could call a game, you could get through it.
Yeah, well, like we talked about last week, my thing is if you're going to keep the kids, get a mentor. Like I said, sign Yachty to like a 2-year deal, have him mentor the kids, catch 3 out of 5 games a week or something, and go from there. Anyway, speaking of kids, we'll make this super quick right here. The New York Yankees are getting sued. Yeah, you hear that a lot. New York Yankees are getting sued by the Staten Island Yankees because apparently they dropped them out of their minor league organizations, which, sometimes teams do to other teams or they trade them away. Rancho Cucamonga used to belong to the Angels, and then they made the switch with the Dodgers. But the Yankees just straight up left them hanging. So Staten Island is pissed. They're suing the Yankees, and I quote, "You said you would never leave us." That's what they said. The contract said. So just throwing that out there. I think they got a little more drama.
They might as well throw out that case. They're not going to win.
Yeah, it's Steinbrenner's. Come on now.
It's a straight financial decision.
Yeah.
80% of minor league teams are going to be canceled.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many minor league pro baseball players that have no jobs because of COVID, long run. And if a team had most teams had 8 to 9 different minor league levels. They're going to have maybe 4 at the most going forward.
No, I agree. And then they have the new
COVID, 100% COVID.
Brain COVID, yeah. Well, they have the new, what's the league called? They have a new league. It's going to be kind of like a combine for baseball. I forgot. Dang it, I forgot what it was called. Anyway, but they're having this new league that's coming out, and it's going to be like just a couple months kind of thing between seasons and stuff, so that the kids can get warmed up. One's out of high school, out of college. And I believe it's going to start after the College World Series so that they don't have players in the College World Series. They can actually go to the combine. I'm not exactly sure what it's called right now. I'll let you guys know next week.
It's just a rookie league. It's been going on for a while. They're adding college guys now.
Yeah.
So, it's good.
No, I like it.
The better.
I like it. All right. So we said we were going to get into those free agents. There was actually 60 non-tendered players after the deadline this week. But here are some of the big names that I got. If you have any others, you could throw them out there. Kyle Schwarber from the Cubs. I would love to have Kyle Schwarber at the Angels, throw him in right field, put him as a DH. Adam Duvall of the Braves, not on the Braves anymore. Another really good player. Eddie Rosario of Minnesota is a very underrated player. Nomar Mazara, another lanky guy, power hitter. David Dahl, same thing in Colorado. Archie Bradley, pitcher in Cincinnati, more known from being on the Diamondbacks. Mikhail Franco of the Phillies. I think the Dodgers were going to go after him once. I know the Angels were too. Those are the big names that ESPN had out. What do you think about those names? And do you have any others that you want to throw out that are potential free agents, Coach? And George, if you know any.
There's no studs in that list. Rosario, I think, is in that whole list. Yeah. Because of his defense. He is on just because he's been with the Twins this whole time. He's probably going to resign with them because I don't think he's going to get the money that he wants. But there's no pitchers on that list.
Just Bradley. He's not even the big name.
No, besides Bauer, there's no free agent pitchers that are decent this year, you know, and compared to last year with Cole and a couple other guys. So, you know, those guys are a dime a dozen. Those everybody you named, Dahl, you know, all those are guys you could bring up a minor leaguer that do the same thing.
What about someone like Schwarber? He got that power hitting to left to right field. What about like the Yankees or someone like that with the short porch? Do you think they would pick him up?
He needs to be an American League DH.
I agree. But do you think
if he could get with American League team, he'd be studs. I could see like someone.
Well, we
like,
brought in our fences too, or we lowered our.
Boston would be good. He'd be good with. He'd be good with the Indians, the Twins. You know, Twins won't pay for him, but that's kind of what they need.
Yeah, but like I said, I look at Schwarber. I think short porch. So you got to think, like you said, Texas, New York. Those are like my top two right there. Texas and New York have like the shortest right field porch right now that there is. I'm going to cut that out. George has to leave in a little bit. How much time you got, George? Can you give me like 15 minutes?
Probably like the next 15 minutes.
All right, because we got NBA and then we're done. Okay.
Right, yeah, that's all I was waiting on.
Dump into the NBA. Hall of Fame 2021 is delayed all the way till May. So we're gonna have to wait for Kobe, Duncan, Garnett. Hopefully it'll be able to go off without a hitch, no major issues, even if they have to like stream it or whatever they gotta do. Because I want to see a legit Hall of Fame. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. So that got pushed back to May. Let's talk about the thing that we really want to talk about. LeBron, AD, both coming home. How did you feel when you saw that, George? I know you kind of messaged me, but what was like, here's LeBron, then the next couple days AD comes back?
Well, I think that gives us the potential of doing a three-peat, like Stephen A. Smith said, I believe yesterday or the day before, because now like you took care of Anthony Davis for the next 5 years, and then like LeBron for the next 2 years. So I think with those guys, like I know LeBron James is on the way out, but it doesn't look like he's slowing down. So I think it's good for Laker Nation to hear that those two guys are gonna be together for the next 3 years. So I'm just interested. It's just gonna be intriguing on how this season's gonna turn out. Due to COVID issues and due to like whatever cases. Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for this upcoming season. I'm excited about the Lakers as well.
Yeah, in general. What about you, Coach? Was this like I expected it to happen kind of moment?
Well, yeah. Well, backtrack a little bit. That Hall of Fame class is going to be one of the best ever.
I can't wait.
I think there's ever been a threesome that good and that dominant with Kobe, Garnett, and Duncan. But anyways, the Lakers, it was gonna happen. I'm a little surprised at the deals that were signed. Not Bronze, but AD. I thought he was gonna sign 2 years, and then because they're actually gonna save the Lakers a lot of money. For the Lakers' sake, it's a lot better. For AD, it's gonna cost them like $30 million. Because in 2 years he could have signed the Supermax, which is what Giannis and Harden got offered. At least they haven't accepted it, but its stability is a big thing, especially with nowadays with NBA. So they'll be able to bring in guys, but it also gives them freedom. They got opt-outs, right? So
that's true.
Going to set up LeBron to play with his son, which is going to be crazy. That's never happened.
Can you imagine?
If he's in baseball. So his third year is going to be Bronny's first year in the NBA, and that'll be cool to see. And just seeing AD and LeBron commit to playing with each other is going to be amazing. And there's going to be another guy that comes next year. They're going to keep on refilling, so they'll be the team next 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an outsider looking in, you say, hey, okay, now LeBron's staying, AD's staying, I want to go there, Even this past, like last week, before they even signed, we had that situation with, Schroeder, the trades and stuff that we made, and then people coming over. like next year it's going to be even crazier because they know for sure LeBron's going to be here. They know for sure AD is going to be here. So, I mean, look at what Giannis said. Giannis wants to play for a champion, you know, and he said he'd be willing to play with the super team. So I'm just throwing that out there.
And the Lakers got to start looking for that. Who's going to play with AD? Once they got to set that up because it's not going to come from the draft because they traded draft picks already. Plus, going to be always in the bottom, 28 to 30.
Yeah,
because they're good. So, they'll have to find a diamond in the rough. So it's going to come from free agent or trade. You got to find who's going to take over and be that number 2 because AD will be the number 1 then. If he's not number 1 by next year, even with Braun.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the big thing for Pelinka to strategize. Is not this season, but 3 years down the line, who's going to be the superstar that plays with AD?
Yeah. With that said, though, George, looking ahead 2 years, let's say LeBron either retires or leaves, who do you try to replace him with?
Well, first of all, it's hard to replace LeBron because of how good he is.
Let me use a different word. Who do you put in that position?
In that position, who's the free agent for that year? Because like Coach said, like only in 2 years, like who's going to be those free agents?
Good point.
So like I would have to look at a list of free agents to know like, okay, which player should the Lakers go after? Because I can't really say right now. It just depends on like people's deals and stuff.
And situations.
Well, the good part is that the Lakers got younger this offseason, right? So they had 9 players over 31 last year. Now they have 9 players 27 and younger. So they went to the complete opposite. So they could have, when Braun's gone, they could have Schrader, Trez, KCP's. He's way younger than I thought he was. I thought he was like 30, but he's only 27. So these young players, and then say they re-sign Kuz or trade him.
Yeah.
He's young. So they have a lot of young players that they could still build with. But to replace Braun, you're going to need 2 players.
That's
do the same thing. So there would have to be 2 players that, and depending on, I'm biased, I would love to see Dame play with the Lakers.
That would be awesome.
I love him.
That'd be great. Awesome.
But we'll see how that happens. But it could be one of the young guys. It could be one of the college guys right now. Because in 3 years, studs in the NBA. So who knows?
That's true. Cool. Thank you for that answer because I honestly didn't know where I was going to go with that. So, quick things real quick. It's already 2:00. Reggie Jackson staying with the Clippers. Rockets, right? Signed Cousins. I believe it was. Okay, Rockets signed Cousins.
Yeah, Rockets signed Cousins.
Millsap staying in
Denver. They also signed John Wall.
Yes. Oh, and we got to talk about that trade. You have to talk about that trade real quick. Westbrook for Wall. What you got, George? We got I'll give you, if you give me 5 minutes. Westbrook for Wall. What you got?
I think it's good for the Washington Wizards only because John Wall has been hurt and he has been dealing with like a knee issue and Achilles issue. So I think for the Washington Wizards, like they made a great deal. But based on like the Houston Rockets side, I don't know, man. Like for the Rockets, I don't think it was like a pretty good deal because like you're having an injury-prone point guard coming in. But who knows like what could shake out from that point. And then you also have James Harden wanting to leave Houston, possibly going to the Brooklyn Nets. So it'll be a lot more interesting on what the Rockets do going forward.
More super teams, man. It's going to be like that one year that we had 3 or 4 super teams all over again.
Yeah, I agree with George's statement about the Washington. Both players needed a change of scenery. Westbrook is going to be extra motivated because his stock dropped a lot the last 2 years. When he got traded to Houston, he got traded for CP3, another player, and a couple draft picks.
Yeah.
This year, he just got traded straight up for a Wall and a draft pick.
Yeah.
So, Bill and Westbrook work together way more than Westbrook and Harden. Bill's a guy that can play off ball a lot. So that's going to be a good spot for him. But I think Wall actually fits better with Harden and Westbrook also on the flip side with the Rockets. Yeah. If Wall's healthy, the Rockets may have won that deal because Wall is a better defender, better shooter than Westbrook.
Yeah.
And he'll
better
space
free
out
throw
the game.
shooter.
He'll space out the field, the court a lot better. And Wall and Cousins are best friends.
They went to college together in
from
Kentucky
together. So if Cousins is right, that's a threesome that's tough.
Yeah.
And better not sleep on the Rockets if Cousins is right. Cousins is the key. If Cousins is Cousins, he's a top 5 player.
Yeah.
If he's not, they're going to struggle. They'll be like a 6-7 seed. But if Cousins is right, they could be a top 3 team.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be this season's going to be crazy, like George said, like with all these new teaming up and these new matchups that we're going to get. It's just going to be straight nuts. So we'll find out next week what craziness awaits us. Who knows what kind of deals are going to go down? Who knows what trades are going to go down? I'm talking all sports here, especially with baseball. It gets insane during December because they're not going to have the winter meetings. Obviously, they'll have to do them via Zoom. But that's when the madness happens, for baseball. And then again, basketball, we're talking craziness. The season's going to start in 3 weeks, 4 weeks ish, January.
22nd.
Yeah, it's coming.
It starts in
December, yeah.
22nd.
It's coming. Preseason's coming
Well,
quick.
preseason starts pretty soon on December 11th.
22nd, right? The 22nd is preseason.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. 22nd is the regular season, but the preseason starts on December 11th.
11th, that's right. Okay, I knew it was a double number.
But they're only going to play like a 2-game preseason.
Yeah, one home,
so
one away or something like that.
Yeah,
and I think that's smart. So the madness is coming. We're going to have a new MLS champion, I believe. I believe the playoff is today, the East and West, so they'll probably play the championship on Wednesday. So we should have an MLS champion. Let's see. We'll probably have a little more wrestling news because there is a pay-per-view tonight. War Games, check that out as well. Hopefully we'll get news on Tyson Holyfield. That's what I'm waiting on. I want that to go down so bad. We didn't talk about DJ LeMahieu, but he's out there. Hopefully he'll sign. And hopefully the Ravens will actually have a full team this week. So that's that. We're way over on time, but we had a great time. We covered so much, and there's so much more to come. So, again, I want to thank Coach. I want to thank George. Again, this was All Sports Media presents Triple B 2.0. What were you thinking? Dedicated to Nate Robinson. Bro, what were you thinking? Just throwing that out there.
Don't ever fight again, Nate Robinson. Don't ever fight again, bro. After that embarrassing thing that you laid an egg on, do not fight again, bro. That is not your field. Bro.
What were you thinking? Just saying. All right. So, again, we got Coach. We got George. I'm Double R, Ricky Rodriguez. Thank you so much for joining us. Be safe out there. Have an awesome rest of your weekend. Wear a mask and have a great one. And always remember, whether you're trying to score in life or climb the ladder of success, always reach for the title. Peace out.